Even people who do not live near the ocean can have an impact on marine communities and ecosystems. Burning of fossil fuels, for instance, increases the amount of greenhouse gases in the atmosphere, leading to climate change such as global warming, rising sea levels, and increased acidity of the ocean. Okay, A. The decomposition of their bodies. There이라는 말은 언급되지 않았어. When the algae die, the decomposition of their remains robs the water of oxygen. Okay, like such as global warming. Burning of fossil fuels, for instance. 이거를 첫 번째 예시로 들었고, another way in which inland populations can affect the marine environment is by contributing nutrients to the ocean. Nitrogen is a major nutrient that supports the growth of algae in aquatic ecosystems. When nitrogen-containing chemicals from terrestrial sources reach the ocean, they support an enormous increase in the growth of algae. 그러면 이 enormous increase in the growth of algae. When the algae die. 성장, 죽음, 그리고 분해. When the algae die, the decomposition of their remains robs the water of oxygen. Marine organisms that can swim away, such as fishes, migrate to better water, while those that cannot, such as clams and worms, die from lack of oxygen. The decomposition of their bodies removes more oxygen from the water, making a bad situation even worse. The result of this excessive decomposition is an area of ocean water that is oxygen depleted. Because so little marine life can survive in such an area, it is referred to as a dead zone. CBA. 만질까? Removes more oxygen from the water. Increase when nitrogen-containing chemicals from terrestrial sources reach the ocean, they support an enormous increase in the growth of algae. 여기에서는 산소 얘기는 나온 적이 없고 die from lack of oxygen. When the algae die. Okay, 여기서의 there는 worms, clams 막 이런 것들이지. Okay, CBA. Act of decaying or making something decay. Decomposition. To greatly reduce the amount of something. Deplete. 어디 있어? 어디 있었는데? Deplete. 이따 찾아보고. To move from one area to another at different times of the year. Migrate. 여기 있다. Oxygen depleted. Migrate here and decomposition here and here. Okay. The use of critical thinking has been identified as particularly important in the digital age, as relatively quick access to a wide range of information means that the user needs the ability to critically evaluate the validity and relative value of information accessed. The use of critical thinking has been identified as particularly important in the digital age, as relatively quick access to a wide range of information. 여기서 as는 왜냐하면이란 뜻인 것 같고, relatively quick access to a wide range of information 이게 주어고, means that the user needs the ability to critically evaluate the validity and relative value of information accessed. In the past, the library, a book, or an expert, e.g., a teacher, or the student's source of knowledge, and the value or validity was unlikely to be questioned. 오케이, 이것도 맞아. 오케이, 의문을 자아내지 않았다. 이 지식의 가치나 효용에 대해서. When the internet was originally introduced to school-based learning programs, a number of educators were reluctant to use it. Internet as a teaching resource, as the information may not contain correct facts. This view reflected the limited information available at the time through the internet, the lack of social media, which large numbers of people and experts were developing knowledge, and a positivist 뭐야 이거 and a positivist orientation to schooling purposes to learn truths. The abundance of information at the touch of a digital technology means that learners need to be able to critically evaluate its relevance, validity, and significance. This type of critical thinking expands the scientific orientation of critical thinking, using reasoning to evaluate credibility. 어쨌든 요건 맞고 요것도 맞고 요것도 맞아. And this view reflected the limited information available at the time through the internet, the lack of social media, which large numbers of people and experts were developing knowledge. 여기 이거 where이라고 써야 되는 것 같은데. The scientific orientation of critical thinking using reasoning to evaluate credibility. reasoning이라는 활동을 evaluate credibility를 using reasoning이라는 걸 활용함으로써 whatever. The state of being reasonable, correct, or generally accepted. The state of being reasonable. The state of being reasonable. What is it? Value, validity. Not willing to do something and therefore slow to do it. Reluctant. A very large quantity of something. Abundant. Abundance. 여기 있지. Abundance here. Reluctant. Teacher. Were reluctant. Validity. We can find it anywhere. 인생이 너무 힘들어요. 그 제목과 낱말. Predicting how inventions and technological innovations will be used and how they will ultimately affect society is often very difficult. The history of technology is full of stories of inventors and innovators who had no idea of how their inventions and innovations would ultimately be used or the far-reaching effects that they would have on society. Ultimately be used or the far-reaching effects that they would have on society. Okay. Johannes Gutenberg, inventor of the printing press and movable metal type, was a devout Catholic who would have been horrified to know that his invention enabled the Bible to be widely printed and so helped stimulate the Protestant Reformation. Thomas Edison apparently believed that the phonograph would be mainly used for recording people's last wills and testaments, and would undoubtedly be amazed by today's tapes, CDs, and MP3 players, all of which are descended from his invention for recording sound, and who, until recently, would have thought that chlorofluorocarbons, which have been used for decades as refrigerants, would be eating away the ozone layer in the upper atmosphere. Given enough experiences of this kind, one gets the idea that every new technology has not only known and expected benefits and costs, but also unknown and unforeseen benefits and costs. New technologies sometimes even produce consequences exactly the representative of what they were intended to produce. What the other Edward Tanner calls revenge effects. Powerful new technologies alter the social context in which they arise. They change the structure of our interests and values. They change the ways in which we think and work, and they may even change the nature of the communities in which we live. So, new technologies sometimes even produce consequences exactly the representative of what they were intended to produce. 이거의 반대말을 써야 돼. representative가 아니고 전혀 의도하지 않은. An innovation, a result of persistence 아니고 뭔가 의도치 않은 발명에 대한 얘기. Innovation is not the same as invention. 이것도 뭔가 좀 그러고. What an invention brings is hard to tell. 이거죠. Social revolutions caused by inventions. 이건 뒤쪽에 이어질 그죠? Small concerns give rise to big innovations. What an innovation brings is hard to tell. Invention, 발명이 무엇을 불러일으킬지는 아무도 모른다. And number 5, I've chosen number D. D here. Chosen 뜻풀이, the act of process of introducing new ideas, devices, or methods. The act of process or introducing new ideas, devices, or methods. Innovation. Not predicted or expected. Unpredictable. U로 시작하는. Phonograph would be mainly used for recording people's last wills and testaments, and would undoubtedly be amazed by today's tapes, CDs, and MP3 players, all of which are descended from his invention for recording sound, and who, until recently, would have thought that chlorofluorocarbons, which have been used for decades as refrigerants, would be eating away the ozone layer in the upper atmosphere. Given enough experiences of this kind, one gets the idea that every new technology has not only known and expected benefits and costs, but also unknown and unforeseen benefits and costs. Unforeseen? Something you do in order to punish someone who has harmed or offended you. In order to punish. Revenge. 복수. 빨간 펜을 안 갖고 왔는데. 채점은 아무거나 나오는 색으로. Exercise 9. 정답은 5번. 나오는 건 decomposition, deplete, migrate. 모르는 단어는 없었어. Exercise 10, number 4. Okay. 왜냐면 이어지는 관계절에 주어, 동사, 목적어의 문장 구성 요소가 모두 갖춰져 있으므로 a large numbers of people and experts were developing knowledge. objective, verb, subject. 오케이, 그래서 where를 쓰는 게 적합하다, 맞다. which, okay. And validity, reluctant, abundance. 11번에는 3번, 12번에는 4번. because 정확히 대표하는이 아니라 정확히 반대하는 막 opposite 이런 걸로 쓰라고. innovation, unforeseen, revenge. 맞았다.